Friday, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate It's That Simple. My name is Rick Garcia. I'm along with real estate veteran Phil Nordella. And hopefully as you go into your weekend and you think about the possibility or the prospect of maybe buying or selling some property, or maybe you're a real estate agent and you're thinking about making a little bit of a change in terms of your career if it's not going in the direction that you'd hoped it would. So we're here to answer some questions for you. How are you, sir?
I can help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
I didn't notice you there, actually.
Well, I'm always here.
Oh, that's right. I live here.
So let's talk about the numbers. Big changes in and by the way, surprising changes when it comes to interest rates.
Unbelievable. Okay, we're not really necessarily going to talk about interest rates yet. What I want to do is I want to actually go real estate by the numbers, if possible.
Yeah. Shall we?
And
SCV by the numbers.
Oh, yay! So this is an absolute crazy market. I've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. It's unbelievable. I have had a hunch that interest rates were going to actually go down. I've got a buyer. He's wonderful. He called me up and he said, Phil, is now the time to get in? And I said, last week, I said, honestly, I don't think so. I think I want you to wait to buy something maybe in 30 to 60 days because, believe it or not, even though they lowered interest rates, I think they're going to lower them again. And they pulled the trigger early and lowered them again. And I think that was a knee-jerk reaction. Obviously, it's a coronavirus problem, and we're going to talk about that with Marla Ferris in a second. But let me go over some of the numbers, and I like to compare them to see what's exactly happening from week to week. Last week, active listings in Santa Clarita, 325. Today, 319. Okay, so there's not much of a change. Question to you, and this is something that I didn't know unless I looked it up. Do you happen to know how many listings are over $1 million in Santa Clarita out of the 325?
That is a good question. Out of 325 active listings, over $1 million, I'm going to say 10.
They're actually 45.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it, that's over 10%.
Yeah.
You know, and we used to be the area that was never known for anything over $1 million.
Well, so the median price, I'm assuming, of homes in Santa Clarita has probably jumped up dramatically.
It
right?
seems to be going up. It seems to be going up. Okay, so active under contract and pendings. Last week was 421. No, 2 weeks ago it was 421. Last week it was 492. Today it's 505. What does that tell you?
What does it tell us?
It tells us that the interest rates are going to be something that people are saying, hey, you know what? I think my personal opinion is the people who have gone through similar things, and we don't know exactly what this is going to be, right, when it comes to the coronavirus, but there's a lot of people out there that have been through multiple scares like this, and it seems to be, knock on wood, that we get through it. And as soon as we actually see that the interest rates are pushed down lower than they've been ever that they know of, right? It used to be, last week it was they were lower in 22 years. Now it's lower in 50 years, right? People are saying, hey, you know what? I know that this will be okay, and I know I want to take advantage of it. And so that's a good thing. So active under contract, pending, 421 2 weeks ago, 492, 505 today.
And again, tell us what those numbers mean. I mean,
Okay.
active means...
Active, okay, so what happens is when you list your house, you get it and it's an active listing, okay? Then what happens is you get an offer and the seller signs off on the offer, and then as an agent you have to decide whether you want to put it in active, under contract, or pending. Active under contract says, look, you know what, we'll actually consider a backup offer if you want to go see the property still to be in a backup offer. And some special properties, you know, the people say, look, if for some reason this thing falls out, I want this, and I wish I would have gotten it before. Okay, or maybe there's a multiple offer situation on the property.
So does active mean it's in escrow already?
Active under contract means it's in escrow.
Okay.
So does pending.
Active means it's available.
Active means absolutely it's fair game. Come on out. And here's the sad part: is sometimes you'll get an agent that'll actually work out a deal, open escrow, and forget to put it from active to active under contract or pending. Yeah. And so what happens is you get excited, you go out and see it, and you're like, yay! And you go out and you write an offer on it. And you call the people and say, I'm submitting an offer. And they said, oh, shoot. I'm so sorry. And that's devastating. So what I usually do is if I've got a client that's interested in a property, I will always call and say, do me a favor, please let me know what the status is, the true status. And that's the most up-to-date thing. Okay, close in the last 30 days. Okay, last week was 257, and this shows you people are taking advantage of all of this. 293 listings, expireds, and these are just the people that say, look, my house is worth more money than I'll ever get for it, but I'm gonna list it for that. It's worth $600,000. I'm gonna list it for $675, and you get that poor agent that really is desiring a deal, and they say, okay, that's fine. I'll list it for $675, and it goes 6 months, and nobody writes an offer on it. It expires, and that's a bad thing. Withdrawn. This is interesting. Withdrawn 2 weeks ago. 14 were withdrawn. Last week, 8 were withdrawn. This last and this week there have been 8. Cancel listings 21. So whatever that means to you, that means to you. And but it's interesting though that again the interest rates are so ridiculously low. The people that are seeing past the coronavirus are saying, I need to take advantage of it. And so that's a great thing. So, but I would like to actually go now to Marla Ferris. I think Marla Ferris, hopefully, from Augusta Financial, is on the phone with us. Marla, are you there?
Hey, Marla.
Marla?
Good morning.
Hey, there you are. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Terrific. I'm terrific. And it's interesting because wasn't it last week that you said, oh my gosh, it's absolutely absurd what's happened? Because I remember I called you last week and I said, hey, anything new with real interest rates? And you went, no, you don't understand. It's unbelievable. After 22 years, I've never seen it like this. And yet, it got better.
It did. We had exactly even a better week this week, and we seem to be amazed every day. So we've had even a 0.25% better since last week.
Yes.
So I say even a month ago I was quoting you rates in the mid 3s, and now we're in the low 3s, and it's just phenomenal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. In fact, Inman here says 30-year mortgage rates hit lowest point in 50-year history.
I agree.
That's crazy. That's crazy. They say the average 30-year rates mortgage, fixed rate mortgage plummeted to 3.29, an all-time low according to Freddie Mac. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage hits a record 3.29% this week, the lowest level in nearly 50-year history. Meanwhile, mortgage applications increased 10% last week from 1 year ago and show no signs of slowing down. So my guess is you're pretty busy, yeah?
We are working our big offices. We are working on our pipeline. We are working our rates very well. Everybody is taking advantage, saving some money. So, yes, very, very busy.
So, you understand the same thing that I understand. When you're in real estate sales or you're in your mortgage loan officer, we all understand that sometimes it's going to be slow and you need to do what you need to do when it's slow. And you also realize that you have to ride the wave when it's crazy. The most sales I've ever made in 1 month was 17, and I remember it was pretty crazy to sell 17 homes in a month.
Marla, do you have an example of for somebody who's out there thinking of buying a home? Can you give us an idea whether it's a $500,000 loan or something as to what the payment might be? Because it's got to be lower than some of the rentals in town now.
Yes.
Well, I've got just some rates right here. I checked this morning. Our 30-year rates are about 3.25 if you're buying a home with a $400,000 loan. We've got 1741 on the mortgage. Very, very.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Very crazy.
Yeah,
and then
you can't rent for that. You can't rent for that anywhere.
No.
And that's just the mortgage.
Yeah, that's not.
The tax is going to be about $520, and then we've got. Sorry, I didn't have all these. I just had my mortgage numbers. About $22.61 for taxes and mortgage.
Yep.
So crazy. Add another $50, you're at just over $2,300, and that's at a $500,000 purchase price.
And Rick is right. That is like you. I don't know if you can rent for that
You'd
anymore.
have to have a bunch of roommates. If you did, you could with a bunch of roommates. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what's funny, and then I'm going to let you go. they were saying stuff that this was a knee-jerk reaction, obviously, to the coronavirus. And a lot of the professionals were saying they didn't need to do this. They didn't need to actually pull the trigger on something like this so soon. And they were saying that they should have waited to see just exactly how the coronavirus plays out a little bit more. But they did do it early, and it benefits a lot of our clients, and I think it's a really great thing. And Marla, I really appreciate you being there for us, and thank you for being our go-to gal. I've worked with Marla for 22 years, and she's terrific. Do you want to give us your phone number again?
My phone number is 661-510-7989. And just a little comment on the coronavirus, it does create a lot of uncertainty. And when investors are trying to figure out where they're going to put their money, when the stock market is crashing, all these world economies are being very affected by the virus. And so their businesses are going down, their returns on investment are going down, and so the investors go for a safe haven, and that's where the bonds come in. They'll start investing in the bonds, and then that turns into better interest rates for our borrowers. So it is a trickle-down effect, and this is what's happening. Hopefully when we get our virus back under control, these rates might normalize. So everyone who's out there needing to take advantage of some real estate or refi needs, they need to do it now.
I think we're definitely under the impression that they're going to go up. So, anyway, listen, Marla, thank you so much.
Marla Ferris, Augusta Financial, thanks for joining us. As they always say, buy low, right? So interest rates are low. You want to think about buying it. Now, nobody more intimate with what's going on with the coronavirus, of course, than the owner of this radio station, KHTS, Carl Goldman. And Carl is on the line now. Carl checks in. He's at the Center for Disease Control in Nebraska. Carl, last we'd spoken and last we read your blog on hometownstation.com, or your journal, I should say. You had still tested positive for coronavirus. Where do you stand now, Carl?
Hey, good talking to you guys. I really wish I was in the studio with both of you, but I know you don't want me there yet because...
well, maybe not yet. Maybe not yet.
Not yet, because I did still test positive on Wednesday. So the virus is still in me. Haven't shed it out of my body yet. Of course, my wife Jerry is home and actually probably down the hallway for you, working away at KHTS.
She is down.
I had another... So the protocol here is when I test positive, I have to wait 48 hours for the next test. They did that this morning, so I'll get my results tonight. If I'm negative, then I have to go 3 days in a row of tests of being negative before I'll be released. The earliest I'll get released if I come out negative tonight, the earliest I'll be released is Monday or Tuesday. The way they do the tests, and you guys are missing a lot of fun, is they put a swab deep up both nostrils, 5 seconds each, and then deep down the throat for 5 seconds. And as an added bonus, I signed up, I volunteered for one of the 2 clinical studies they're doing here in Omaha. One is actually testing an experimental drug on one of the patients here. I was too healthy to qualify for that, so I volunteered for the second test, which is taking a whole bunch of samples, blood tests, testing everything I touch, from my computer to iPhone to the toilet seat. And then I get 3 additional swabs, and I know you guys are going to love this. So 1 swab under each eyelid for 5 seconds, and then the added bonus is the one up my rear end.
Okay. And what part of that was going to be something that we would love?
Yeah.
We were going to love that?
More information than you guys
TMI.
wanted.
But here's the thing. It's your radio station. You can say what the heck you want. Let's be honest.
You know what, Carl? I've got a million questions for you. I'm sorry. I just do. I mean, I've got three. I've got 3 shows worth of questions for you. The first one that I have is going back to the beginning, and these are things, because I've followed your blogging, and it's fascinating, and I appreciate the fact that you've actually been able to. I mean, you come across with humor, and I what you're doing, obviously, what you're going through is not funny, but yet you keep a a good approach to it, and I appreciate that. My first question is, how do you actually keep positive? Because I know this has got to be very, very taxing on you.
Yeah, my wife Jerry and I have both been positive throughout all this. We've learned, and we've shared this with ourselves and our two friends, Mark and Jerry Jorgensen, who are in the cabin next to us on the Diamond Princess quarantine, that this is out of our control. We get to live for the moment instead of trying to worry about the future or dealing with the past, and just staying positive. And for me, making lemonade out of lemons.
Sure.
And yes, I try and find the humorous side of this, because I know also it lightens my stress load, and stress is probably the worst thing on the immune system other than the virus itself.
Yep.
We're going to ask you a big favor, Carl. You understand how this works. We're going to take a break.
Is it that time already?
Well, yes. It's
That's
past that time. But we'll take a break. Carl, you're going to stay on the line with us. We're talking
Please.
with Carl Goldman, the owner of KHTS Radio, who is at the Center for Disease Control in Nebraska. He's giving us an update on his health. He is positive with the coronavirus, and we're trying to just get a better understanding of what's going on. So, Carl, we're going to be right back after this break.
If you're thinking of selling your home, have Phil Nordella come out and give you a free, no obligation property valuation. Just call 661-312-3561. It's that simple.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Mold contamination is a growing concern for all of us, especially in our homes. Golden State Mold Inspections is Santa Clarita's leading mold inspectors. Be sure to protect yourself and your family with a professional mold inspector. Golden State Mold Inspections can identify mold problems and future mold challenges. Call the mold professionals, Golden State Mold Inspections. Visit their website for details, goldenstatemoldinspections.com. That's goldenstatemoldinspections.com.
If you're looking for an SCV-based home design firm you can trust, look no further. Style My Space is a recognized leader in luxury vacant home staging and interior design projects for all of northern Los Angeles County since 2006. Their 5-star reputation for beautiful staging installations helps sellers realize up to 10% higher offers in as little as 1/3 the time as non-staged homes. Get an instant quote on our website at stylemyspace.com. That's stylemyspace.com.
Coming to the Canyon, Santa Clarita, Buck Cherry, Julian Marley, Mark Cohen, Taj Mahal, John B., Herman's Hermits starring Peter Noon, Queen Nation, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, The Dickies, TSOL, Kingdom Come and XYZ, English Beat, Albert Lee, Blood, Sweat and Tears, The Marshall Tucker Band, Berlin, and more. Country nights every Thursday. And the Canyon is the perfect place to host special events. So call 818-661-7237 to book yours today. The Canyon, Santa Clarita, where music meets the soul. Tickets available through Ticketmaster.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
Castle Inspection is the top choice for home inspection in Santa Clarita. With over 20 years experience, make Castle Inspection your choice when buying your new condominium or home. From mobile homes to mansions, the outhouse to the penthouse, your best bet is a net from Castle Inspection. An inspection is a fair and objective evaluation of the home's physical and mechanical systems. Expert knowledge, thorough research, and clear communication are what sets a net at Castle above the rest. Schedule your appointment online now at castleinspection.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Real Estate, It's That Simple. I'm Rick Garcia, along with a longtime real estate veteran, Phil Nordella, and we're here normally to talk about your real estate needs if you're thinking about buying or selling property in the Santa Clarita area specifically, or maybe you're a realtor who's considered career changes. But we've had to change gears because, like the rest of the country, the community was affected as well by the coronavirus, and that's because the owner of this radio station, Carl Goldman, tested positive while he was on a cruise on vacation out in Asia. So Carl Goldman is on the line with us. And Carl, yes. I think it's interesting to point out that when you first went to the when our all of the American citizens were pulled off of the Diamond Princess in Asia and brought back to the United States, you were taken immediately to Omaha, Nebraska at the Center for Disease Control, one of 3 that we have in the country. And I guess about a week or so ago, you were moved from the wing that you were in to another part of that CDC facility. Can you tell us why that was?
Sure. I was first put into the biocontainment area over in Omaha here. As you mentioned, one of 3. They actually set that up during the anthrax scare right after 9/11. Never used it. Then when the Ebola crisis hit, that virus about 5-6 years ago, there were 3 patients with Ebola here in the center. And then I was patient number 2, so this team's had a lot of time to practice with it. I had a fever, and I had a precondition that hit me about mid-November called the Guillain-Barré syndrome that affects my nervous system. So they thought I was going to be at risk to the point where I should get that higher level of care. So I was put into the biocontainment unit, even though by the time my fever broke, which was when we had landed in California, what had happened was we'd gotten on the plane, I had fallen asleep, 2 hours later woke up with 103 fever. By the time, and they put me in a quarantine area on the plane. We landed in Travis. By the time we landed in Travis, I was fine. So I never had a sore throat, never had a stuffy nose, didn't even with that high of fever, didn't have the shakes or chills or heavy-duty sweating. All I had was a dry cough that still persists a little bit today, and that fever for 8-9 hours. By the time I got to Omaha, the fever had broken, and there was not much they could do. They gave me a little ibuprofen in the biocontainment area, and then as I kid about it, to help keep me hydrated, I had every flavor of Gatorade that exists.
In fact, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Was there, we all hear about aha moments, and you actually answered it. Was there an uh-oh moment when you were on the plane to where all of a sudden you went, uh-oh, I'm feeling like I'm sick, but you said you fell asleep, you woke up, and all of a sudden you had the temperature. So that
right.
Yeah. So
and I wasn't that afraid at that point, even though I knew. I said, boy, the odds are there that I have the virus, because our friend Jerry Jorgensen had come down with the virus, tested positive, and was sent to a hospital in Fukushima, Japan. And I was, we were in constant communication, and I knew that she had that similar experience of the high fever, and then was fine. So she was just sitting there quarantined in the hospital in Japan, being totally fine. So I was not really upset at all, other than the fact I think we were more upset because we knew when we were flying back that we were going to be quarantined for yet another 14 days, which was the case of Jerry. My wife, Jerry, never got the virus, yet she had to be quarantined together on the Diamond Princess and then isolated on her own here in Omaha. Now I'm in the same building she was in for those 14 days. But during the time when they moved me and downgraded me as I was getting more and more stable and they realized I was going to be fine, they moved me to this lower level of care in the same building that Jerry was in here in Omaha.
Right. Okay. So now how is your friend doing? Is she still in Japan?
No, she made it home. She's tested free and clear, and she made it home to her home in St. George, Utah, arriving yesterday or late the night before. So she's a free woman finally. So both Jerrys are free women, and Mark, her husband, never had the virus during our trip But then when he was in Travis, before he was released, he tested positive, and he's one of the few who had no signs with the virus, not even a fever with it. So he's had the virus and is still positive with no fever and nothing else impacting him. My wife, Jerry, still doesn't have the virus, never got the virus, went through the 14 days, so she's not going to get the virus, and there must be some magic in her body that let her avoid that, while the three of us who were all in constantly with each other, the three of us ended up getting it.
I want to make clear too, Carl, because you've pointed this out in some of your journals. Both the wives have been sent home, but it should be pointed out. You have a really interesting theory that there's no chance on Earth that anybody would be sent home. And there's not one government official on this planet who would allow anybody to be sent back home into their communities if they didn't think it was okay.
Right, and the government right now is being extra cautious, which I applaud, because as the CDC keeps telling us, they're trying to buy every single hour of every day right now to gain an advantage on this virus. And so the longer we go here in this country without an epidemic hitting, the better off we are, because first of all, it's one day closer of moving into spring and having warmer weather, and this virus doesn't do well, they believe, in warm environments. Number two, as we'll talk about in a few minutes about the tests they're doing for me, hopefully that will provide some clues on how the virus is traveling and how they might be able to contain it that way. And then three, we're that much closer to some kind of antidote, some kind of vaccine or something that will stop the virus, even though that probably can't be put into public use for another 12, 18 months, even if they're at a fast clip with that.
I've read a couple articles about some things that they think that they know that worked with Ebola and SARS, and they were saying that they've had some good results already. How close they are to actually being able to bring it out for this, or whether they have to tweak it or not, I don't know. But this came from my brother, who's a doctor, and my pharmacist. And so they were saying that there was some at least, maybe a little glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. My question to you now is, you're doing this trial, this study, and helping them to see if you can't actually step up and work with them to get a cure. When you actually are clean and you've actually tested negative for everything for the amount of time that it takes for you to be able to come home, do you think they'll ask you to stay, to continue, so that they can monitor you? And do you think that they're going to ask that of you, or?
No, I've already talked to them about that. They will continue to follow me and track me. I can get a blood test in Santa Clarita as easily as I can get a blood test here in Omaha.
Sure.
I'm sure they'll do the fun swabs that I've been talking about. I'm sure they'll do those fun swabs when I'm out there, and then they'll historically try and track me, because they want to see how this virus progresses. Also, we're being told that once we're released, number one, we won't be spreading the virus, but also they're saying there's going to be a long period of time where we can't get the virus again, but they don't know what that length of time is, whether that's many, many months, many years, or an entire lifetime.
I've got a question for you, and it may make sense, it may not make sense. You're very upbeat, you're very positive, you're very, look, you know what, this is it can be a big deal, but as far as you're concerned, it's not terrible, right? I mean, it's not awful. And so your journals have been upbeat and they've been positive. If you were a different person, in other words, if you were a very negative person and you still had this forum, do you think, and I'm going to ask you if anybody's actually talked to you about the importance of being upbeat about this, has anybody actually said, look, we know that you've got this following, and I'd like to make sure that you use this following not to scare the heck out of people. Has anybody ever talked to you about that, or you're just carte blanche?
No, no one has. If you're asking if I'm being censored or anyone wants me to tone down, no, I've never had that from anybody. I've had readers say I shouldn't be quite as humorous as I should be, but that's keeping me up, and that I'm up meaning positive, and
sure.
that's my MO, and that's the way I'm dealing with this. The one thing by being public, and my wife and I thought about this a lot when we were first quarantined. Do we go public? Do we not go public?
Sure.
We waited a few days and then finally said, there's so much misinformation out there. Let's let people know what this is really like. And we did that, and we really put ourselves on the front lines by doing so, because even though 99% of the responses we get are positive, we've had death threats. Mark in the Salt Lake City hospital has had death threats. You guys know Shane, who does some part-time work for us and was kind enough to watch our house and dogs. He was fired from his job on Tuesday because the owner knew that Shane had been in contact with Jerry. That's crazy.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's things seem to be cyclical. You recall when Ebola it first touched the United States, and there's an immediate panic, and people freak out about things they don't understand. Sometimes people are not willing to listen to things that are, facts that are right in front of them and being told, and other people have just trust problems when it comes to listening and believing stuff. But listen, I think that there's no question that you've been an inspiration through all of this. It's been fun to read a lot of your journal, which, by the way, anybody can find all of the stories that you've written by going to hometownstation.com. I think you're on number 21 now, right? Have you submitted 22 yet? I'm waiting for 22.
No, 21, yeah. I'm working on, I think I'm working on 21 now. It all becomes a blur after a while.
One of the last things I wanted to tell you, and I'm sure that you know about it, Donald Trump signed an $8.3 billion coronavirus package today. They were actually seeing if they couldn't, they were going to ask for $2.5 billion in emergency funding. And the House and Senate said, no, you know what, we want more. And so they ended up with $8.3 billion. The bill provides $7.76 billion to federal, state, and local agencies, and an additional $500 million to waivers for medical telehealth restrictions. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but at least you know what. It seems like we're all taking it seriously. We hope that you do well. When you come back here, and I don't mean to make light of it, when you come back here, bring as many toilet paper rolls as you possibly can, because you can't get them in the stores anymore. There's been a run on that and Clorox and all the other things.
People
that are
stocking up.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Well,
crazy.
Carl, thank you for checking in with us again, or letting us check in with you to find out how you're doing. And again, we look forward to reading your journals on hometownstation.com, and continued good health for you. I know you're everybody's got their fingers crossed for that next negative test, and hopefully go on a string of several in a row, Carl.
Terrific. Thanks, guys, and I just hope to be home before the final results of the Iowa caucus.
We're still waiting on California, by the way. All right. Thank you, Carl. We appreciate it. Carl Goldman, he's the owner of KHTS Radio. He has coronavirus. He wound up getting the virus when he was on vacation on a cruise in Asia.
And real quick, if people are actually listening and they're saying, what does this have to do with Santa Clarita Valley real estate? It has everything to do with it, because this affects everything and everyone. The fact that people, it may get to the point where people don't want to sell because they're afraid of people coming into their house to see it. So I think this helps, at least bring a little more insight into the issue and the
some
problem.
clarity.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that the experts will tell you it's the same thing when you're thinking about the cold and flu season, that there are certain things that we all need to do. Washing our hands. You wash your hands for 20 seconds. Don't touch your face. That's the sort of thing that you should continue to concentrate on. All right, we will get back to other ways that if you are considering buying or selling, some things that you need to think about. One of those things is mold. I know that's another thing that people get a little frightened of, but you need to think about it.
Absolutely.
We've got an expert to talk about the best way to find out if you have it in your home or what to look for.
Yep, terrific.
Real estate, it's that simple.
If you're thinking of selling your home, have Phil Nordella come out and give you a free, no obligation property valuation. Just call 661-312-3561. It's that simple.
Stone Oven, the healthy alternative. You've never tasted a sandwich like this before. Gourmet bread cooked before your eyes. Stone Oven at the food court at Valencia Town Center.
Save at the best Santa Clarita restaurants. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price. Click on hometownstation.com and discover incredible savings. Online or at our radio station, everyone saves with Restaurant Row. Check it out at hometownstation.com. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price.
My name is Frank. I'm the proud owner and operator of Braveheart Termite and Pest Control. I've been doing this for over 25 years. Call me for your termite needs and concerns. If you're in real estate and need a quality home inspection, call me today. You'll have those reports same day or within 24 hours. I will help you solve your issue with what needs to be done and nothing extra. Call me so you can have freedom from termites. 661-373-2617. That's 373-2617.
The Art Gallery of Santa Clarita Artists Association, located in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Railroad and Main, features local members' original artwork with changing exhibits every 2 months. Purchase affordable art for your home or as gifts. Open Friday through Sunday or by appointment. Artists wishing to join the SCAA can visit santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming shows, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
Marla Ferris at Augusta Financial is the consummate mortgage professional, committed to helping you turn your dream of homeownership into reality. With more than 22 years in the finance mortgage industry, Marla brings extensive experience and top knowledge to help make your loan experience hassle-free. Given her honesty, integrity, and attention to detail, she is the loan officer you can trust. Marla knows what it takes to get you the best loan, the best rate, and the best service in the industry. You'll find Marla Ferris at MarlaFerris.com.
Take the stress out of moving. Affordable Quality Moving and Storage has been owned and operated in Santa Clarita since 1996. They excel at relieving you of the pressures of moving. You can be assured your belongings are safe and will arrive at your new location, whether it's down the street or across the country. Discover the difference. AQMS, Affordable Quality Moving and Storage. Read the reviews online at aqmsnationalmoving.com. AQMS, Santa Clarita's favorite moving company. Let's talk about insurance. Are your rates skyrocketing year after year, or do you feel like you would benefit from a professional advisor that works for you? Give the great team at Voy Insurance Solutions a call. Voy works with dozens of the best insurance companies to help you obtain competitive rates and comprehensive coverage. Homeowners, auto, business, and life insurance. Voy Insurance. Right price, right coverage, right now. Mention the Phil Nordella Show and get a free $10 Starbucks card. Visit voyinsurance.com. That's voinsurance.com.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
I love it.
Right on!
Your hometown station.
Real estate, it's that simple. I'm Rick Garcia, along with the real estate veteran Phil Nordella. By the way, if you ever want to reach out to Phil, you have any kind of questions, whether it's you want to get a value of your property, is this a good time to buy or sell, or you're a real estate agent that maybe wants a little advice, how can they reach you, Phil?
All they have to do is give me a call at 661-312-3561, or they can go to philnordella.com and they can learn a little bit about me. And yes, I'm going to answer your question. Yeah, interest rates are ridiculously low, and they can buy a heck of a lot more than they could buy before. Or if they were buying at a certain price, the payment's going to be a lot lower. So maybe they should consider it. Yeah.
philnordella.com. You know, there are all kinds of things that that go on when a house is being bought or sold. There are lots of inspections. One of them includes you're looking for things you may not even know are in your home. One of them happens to be mold. And that's something I know that people don't always think about, but you have to. We have Bret Pfeifer, who's with Golden State Mold Inspections, who's going to talk us through the do's and don'ts and what it all means.
Hi, Bret.
Hey,
Hello.
Bret.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I got a question for you. How'd you get into mold? I mean, I know it sounds funny.
Yeah.
But how did it happen?
It's kind of a long story. So I've done almost every job you can think of in real estate and housing.
Okay.
So in like 2009, I was working with a real estate investment group, small group, and I was in charge of acquisitions, which meant I had to find the properties, do the due diligence on them, and part of the due diligence is to find structural problems, which I had enough experience in construction to know that stuff, but also wanted to find out about mold. So I got certified in mold inspections so I can do the due diligence for our real estate group. And then fast forward, somebody I knew in real estate had an appraisal problem. They asked me if I knew anybody that can do a mold inspection for them, and I thought, well, yeah, I can do it. I'd only been doing it for myself in this small group, but I said, yeah, I can do it. And I took care of them, and then, he told somebody else, and I took care of it for them, and then it just kind of snowballed from there, just word of mouth going around, until it built into this this company that I have now, and it started about 10 years ago. It's been really great.
Now, I know Phil has a lot of questions for you, but let me just start with the first basic question. What is mold? Is it when we pull out the bread in the refrigerator or in the bread cupboard and we see stuff on the bread? Is that what we're talking about? Can you tell us exactly what it is?
Well, yeah, mold, there's thousands of different types of mold, and that is one type of them. It's a type of fungus, and it grows where there's moisture or poor ventilation. So if you have a water intrusion or poor ventilation or both, you're going to have mold growth.
But now that takes time. I mean, if you did have an actual pipe break or something like that, and you get to immediately and dry it out, usually the mold shouldn't take effect, correct? I mean, if you're able to dry it out quickly?
Drying out quickly will help a lot, but it can happen pretty quickly. It can grow within 24 to 48 hours to start, because it's everywhere in the air. So when it lands on a little habitat from a leak where it can grow, it'll start growing really quickly, because there's spores everywhere.
And it can be toxic, right?
It can be toxic. There are thousands of different types of mold, which a handful are toxic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember about 15 years ago, we went through a thing when it came to real estate, and it started, it was absolutely insane, and it hit, and I thought, this is going to hit for a long time, black mold. Black mold got to be the thing that everyone was talking about. It was about 15 years ago. Even what Ed McMahon said, black mold killed his dog. Do you remember that? And they were suing whatever company, the builder of his home. And I thought, okay, it's crazy. And anytime any sort of mold, any little bit of it, the escrow would stop, and we'd have to call in the guys with the hazmat suits, and they would come in like they were walking on the moon, and it got nuts. So black mold obviously is bad. It's still bad, but why is it a little bit different now that we don't hear about it as much? Do you know?
I think it was an initial scare of it coming to the media and hearing stories around that people had died from black mold, and then people get educated to it and find out that not every mold is black mold.
Right.
You can't tell. I mean, you may see mold that's black. That doesn't mean that it's Stachybotrys, which is what black mold is. So I think with the education of people, that it kind of calmed down. Appraisals, when they see mold, they don't really require an inspection anymore. So,
how often now do you actually see that kind of mold out there? Is it a lot? Is it a little?
It's tough to say. It depends on the area. It depends on how long it's been growing, because black mold is natural to the environment, or not every single environment, but it's only going to grow in an area inside your home if it's natural to the outside environment, lands there and grows in abundance, and that's when it becomes a problem.
Do you find mold more often in older houses, or does that not make a difference?
I would say unknown leaks. and which can happen
Okay.
in old homes or new homes.
I'll give you an example. We've all got our examples. Upstairs toilet leaks, overflows, kids, using too much paper, whatever the case may be, leaks onto the floor, goes down and into the roof part of the garage. Has this happened a couple of times in my house? So the contractor would come out, cut out a hole, and basically let it air out, or put a fan in some cases to let all that leakage. A lot of times you don't see it. You're right. We happened to spot a ring that was in the roof of the garage, and when we figured out something's going on in there. So that's an example of how mold can begin, right?
Oh, yeah. Just unknown leaks, or leaks that you do know, but you're not really thinking about the mold, consequences of it.
So, two things. Number one is there's a lot of realtors out there that I'm sure, and I would never do this obviously, but there's a lot of realtors out there that kind of, they don't want to actually sweep mold under the rug. But what happens is if they think that there's a little bit of mold, they'll say, you know what, just throw a little Clorox on there and see, and you'll be fine. How dangerous is that?
Well, bleach will kill the mold itself, but the spores that are there are still toxic. And you need to wipe it down. You need to properly remediate it. Otherwise, well, one, you might not kill all the mold. The mold that's left there is still toxic, so it's never a good idea to just sweep it under the rug. You want to take care of it.
So what's the process then? Tell us how long an inspection takes, what you do in the inspection, and then if you find it, what's the process?
Okay, so if we're inspecting a specific area, you had a leak in the laundry room, that's going to take 15 minutes to a half hour. Whole home's going to take somewhere around an hour. The biggest thing that we're looking for is water intrusion. So we're using moisture meters to find where the wet spots are, because that's where the mold's going to grow and go further into there. Now, when we do find mold, we got to take a sample of it, because there's no way to identify whether it's toxic or not without sending it to a lab
you
to
can't just
identify
look
the
at it.
spores.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is we're trying to find the source of the water intrusion and the extent of it, so we can provide you a scope of work, which are the remediation instructions to make sure you take care of what the problem is and it's not going to come back.
Right. Absolutely. Now, another thing that I want to make sure people understand is, even though this is a real estate show, so you think, okay, the only time you would actually deal with mold is if you're in escrow. This is something that people deal with all the time. I mean, they should, no matter what, keep an eye on what's happening in their house. Like Rick says, you've got some kids upstairs and you've got some overflow, and this is stuff that needs to be dealt with, and you don't just wait until you actually sell your house, get it in escrow, and then all of a sudden, like I just had you come out on one of my transactions, and there was mold.
Right.
I mean, there was quite a bit of mold.
Right.
And I'm very grateful that you picked it up, and that's a great thing, and we're having the remediation company come in. But
how do you get it out, by the way? Once you discover it, how do you get it out?
Well, I mean, first thing is you don't want to spread it. So going in there and you have a wall with mold on it, you don't want to just start knocking off the drywall, because you're going to release those spores in abundance into your home and cause problems everywhere. So you got to create a containment, put it in bags as you move it out, wipe it down with bleach solution, get it dried out well, and use HEPA filtered air scrubbers.
Okay.
To clean the air.
So how can they prevent? So they've got a little bit of mold. How do they know when it's time to call you, and bring in? I mean, as soon as they see a little something, or?
Yeah, because you want to find why it's growing. Okay, but the US EPA says that a growth area of over 1 square foot, that's when it's going to be causing health problems. So under 1 square foot, they say it's a do-it-yourself cleanup, but I'd still get an inspection, because you want to find out why it's growing.
Absolutely.
And it could
we
be
should
further than it actually
point out
is.
to our listeners, there are different ways of paying for it. Maybe either one of you can address the cost of a mold inspection, A, and B, who pays for it, buyer or seller?
Oh, the seller always pays.
Okay.
The seller has to actually make sure that there's no active infestation, dry rot, or termites and mold, right? No matter what, because the lender doesn't want to lend on a property that has these things, so that they won't actually do that.
And
so
Brett, what's a mold inspection cost?
Well, it's going to start around $250. That's for a specific area, and then it goes up from there. But each situation, there's several different types of inspections that we do with mold, whether it's a whole inspection or just a partial, which
I'm going to ask you my last question. I know Phil probably has another one, but how do I know I have mold if I don't see anything? Is there any way to tell?
You might have a smell. You might not have a smell.
Okay.
The big thing is if you see any signs of water intrusion, you get any type of musky odor, you want to get it inspected and find out.
Okay, awesome. And Is there a difference when it comes to the black mold opposed to regular mold when it comes to you telling people how to remediate it and how to get it out? I know you don't actually go out there and pull it out, but is there a difference of the way they actually approach that?
Yeah, I'll be a little more cautious about spreading it to other areas if it is Stachybotrys, which means that I'll definitely recommend the containment no matter what size it is.
And what did you call it?
Stachybotrys.
I'm sorry, what?
Stachybotrys.
That was the name of Phil's softball team. Stachybotrys, the co-ed softball team.
Do you have Stachybotrys? Yes, I do, actually.
Bret, thanks so much for joining us. How can folks get in touch with you if they like?
All right, so you can reach me at 310-525-0619. It is a 310 area code, but I go everywhere up to Palmdale, down to Irvine.
And
everywhere.
Golden State Mold Inspections, plural.com,
Yes.
right? Golden State Mold Inspections.com. Bret Pfeifer, Golden State Mold Inspections here. Hopefully,
thanks for coming up.
All right, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And thank you for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Real estate, it's that simple.
Daylight savings time this weekend.
Daylight
Don't forget,
saving,
please.
Daylight saving.
No. It's the savings. It's plenty of savings.
Well,
Savings
a new
every
one. There's
day.
a different one. There's a new one now.
No, yeah, daylight savings because again, it's every day.
Phil Nordella saying goodbye to you in his own special way.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next week.